After my first Comic-Con, I did make a list of things that I can do better at. So after Comic-Con, I can definitely say that all of the videos that I watched were correct. Elevation is key. People do not like to look down at the tables. And I guess I thought that that was more of a suggestion because when I went to Comic-Con, I guess as an artist, I was always trying to find their booths and looking down at the tables to see what they have, even if I didn't buy anything. And I guess that's not the case. People like to see something really high up, I'm assuming because they don't want to bump into people. So elevation is key. I realized on the third day that after I had put my leftover clips and my little sketchbook under my binder to sort of raise it, that more people started flipping through it. So that's one. Number two, I don't know why I thought it was a good idea to put individual QR codes everywhere. I had a QR code for my Etsy, I had a QR code for my Instagram, for my TeePublic site, when really I could have just done one QR code for just my Linktree or something. I don't know why I thought that was a good idea. So that's a next time situation. Number three, way more business cards than you think you actually need. I ran out of business cards literally the first day. And while that was, I guess, good for the self-esteem, not good for Saturday. I ended up having to go back into the hotel room and panically try to get new little business card flyers that I had, because I did make some in anticipation for running out of business cards. I just thought that wouldn't happen until day 3. So I had to scramble to make a bunch of them, and I ended up cutting them out before Comic-Con so that I could have them, and I still ran out by the 3rd day. So way more business cards than you think you ever need is a good idea. Bring your drives, bring your little pen drives, your little USB drives, whatever, because I didn't bring them with me because I had already printed everything. I didn't think it was necessary. And then when I realized that I no longer had any more business cards, I had to go down to the hotel business center to try to print them out. And that was free, that's no problem. The problem was, however, that I couldn't access my Gmail account because the computer at the hotel kept trying to verify everything, and they were like, oh, we've sent a code to your phone so that you can access your Gmail account, but I never got it because my phone's old as all hell, and I was panicking because it wouldn't let me in. Even though I kept putting in the correct password, Gmail like barred me out for like the entire time that I was there. I had to get onto the other computer and go through there, and then I found out a way that I could get in because it had like, for some reason the other computer didn't have this. Whenever I tried to do another way to verify my account, it always like blocked me. On the other computer, it had like a QR code thing where you could access your phone and then click yes that it's you. So I was able to verify it there. And I could have saved myself so much time if I just had the extra flyers, like a PDF of them on a drive so that I could just flip it into the computer, print them out and leave. But no, I had to be there for like an entire hour trying to figure out how to get into my own Gmail account because Google security is the most serious thing in the world. It really is. Speaking of more, definitely more stickers. I brought a certain amount of stickers because I didn't want to overdo it, but I ran out of 4 of my stickers, which is a good metric for success, but I ran out of 4 of them. My more popular stickers ran out very quickly. I think, you know, having a few more of those could have been really helpful for sales. Sort of along the same lines of more than you think you need, I definitely need to bring more singles next time. I didn't run out, but I was close. And I had, when I went to the bank, I got $100 in singles because I thought there's no way that I'm gonna be anywhere near this number of needing to break change. Incorrect. I was almost out on the 3rd day and I ended up having to break my own 20. By the end of the 3rd day, I only had 27 singles. So definitely next time I'm gonna break $200. I don't care. It might be overkill, but I'm doing it. or at least 150. I don't know what number I'm on anymore. But the next thing that I've sort of discovered was that I was originally worried that I couldn't cosplay something that had too many layers because I was scared that it was going to be really hot because, you know, this is a very hot country. We live on an island in the Caribbean. It's hot all the time. My go-to clothing is short sleeves or tank tops and shorts. So I was really worried about it being too hot if I did that. And I was really sad about not being able to cosplay. But then when I was there, I don't know if it's because it was actually raining outside, but it was really cold, and I put on my jacket, not coat. I put on my jacket on and like my hoodie on several times throughout the day because there were times when it was like colder than usual, and if I had been in a Moana cosplay the entire time, it would have been unbearable to sit there with my little Moana cosplay on the entire time. So the Hobbit costume, oddly enough, seems like it could have been a good idea because it was really cold. And I do want to cosplay next time because I think having the cosplay on, or at least being able to participate in that as a vendor, would be a good way to interact with people coming to your booth, and you can talk about it, especially if it like aligns with the art that you brought with you, because I definitely had, you know, historical based art, and dressing like a little hobbit would have been fun. It would have tied in to having this goddamn tapestry on my table. The next thing that I would say is I had to have, I don't know if this is a common thing in other, you know, Comic-Con / convention locations, at least where I was, I needed to get a license to be a merchant there, like a vendor license situation. Mine is temporary. It will eventually go away unless I redo it. But I got one in time. It was like a time crunch. I got one in time. And I had to have it on the table at all times. It said it in the little contract that you sign before you go. And it said that we had to have it with us at all times in case there was like an inspection or something. I had put mine in the same binder as I had the art samples, and you know, by the time I realized it was really annoying to have it there because people would flip through it and they would like flip to the next page and they'd see it, and then by the time that was a thing, I was like, I'm not gonna move it out because I don't want to damage it. I don't have another place to put it. It's staying in the binder. Next time, what I think I'm gonna do is that since we have to keep copies of it, I'm just gonna take my copy and I'm gonna laminate it so that I can have it on the table without anyone having to flip through it every time they look through the binder. So that's one. That's more related, I guess, to my situation. If I don't know if they do that in any other Comic-Con, but if they do, don't put it in the binder. It's very annoying. People flip through it thinking it's art, and it's like, sir, it's a merchant license. You don't have to look at it that hard. Thank you. I know fan art is a tricky subject when it comes to Comic-Con because, you know, there's licensing situations, but fan art at Comic-Con is king. I was definitely really surprised and excited to know that people wanted to buy my original art. And there are definitely vendors that only bring original art, and it works. But in terms of Comic-Con, you know, people are trying to find things that they know. So if it's not necessarily fan art, it definitely helps if your art is somewhat related to the convention that you're going to. Like if you're going to a Renaissance fair, having art that has similar vibes to that would really work. I wouldn't bring like sci-fi art to a Renaissance fair. So I think the reason why my art at least was able to sell, even if it wasn't just fan art, was because it had a similar appeal. But fan art is definitely king. I had people come to my booth to specifically ask me if I had fan art for a certain property, which is a little scary because I don't want to have licensed art. I don't want to rely on licensed art because, you know, it is a tricky situation. I don't want to get sued if I put the rest of it on Etsy or something. So it's a fine line to walk, especially if you're going to Comic-Con, because licensed art, fan art at Comic-Con is expected. People do want to have fan art, but it's a tricky line and I don't want to cross it, but at the same time it's Comic-Con. Where else can I share art like this? So the only thing I really had at Comic-Con that I would argue was full-on fan art was that I had Avatar, Aang, and Kyoshi heads stickers that I had already made before the convention. I didn't make it for the convention. I made it for myself, and then I realized I could sell these off and get rid of them. And they sold like hotcakes. Those were the 2 stickers that sold out the fastest. So it's like a weird situation where it's like, I don't want to have to do that, but it sells. So I guess it's a personal discretion sort of situation. I think next time if I do Comic-Con, I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to rely on fan art, but I will be bringing things that I know will sell out quicker, I guess would be the best way. Because now I know what people like and don't like. I looked at what prints sold more and which ones didn't, and at least now I have a better understanding. Another thing is that I put the prices on literally everything. Everything that you could look at had a price on it. I had the little price tags on the binder pages themselves so that when people were flipping through it, they could see how much something is worth. I had the prices on the little glass frames that I had for the stickers on every individual sticker. I had the prices on the rack where people could walk next to me and see the bigger prints. I had the prices right on top of them. People still came up to me to ask me what the price was. So I need to either find a way to communicate that better, or I just need to get over it and answer the question every single time, because that's like a thing. The first day, I was like, people keep asking me things. Maybe I didn't communicate that correctly. And so the second and third day, I made extra signs for literally everything. I put sold out on all of the stickers that I sold out of on the frames that I had them in. I put price tags on the table itself. So not just the binders and not just the frames. I put my abridged account number in plain red letters and numbers right there on the front of the table, so that if somebody wanted to pay me in card and not cash, they could just look down and see it. People still asked. So I think going forward next time, I'm gonna make it bigger and louder, and if people still ask me, I'm just gonna have to get over it. Because people do not want to read the little tags for some reason, and I feel kind of bad about it, because I would, like, sometimes I felt bad about it because people would come up to me, they'd look at the frames and they'd go, hey, do you still have that little dagger sticker? I really like it. And it's like, ma'am, there's a sold out sticky note right on top of, how did you even see it? So there's that. Next up is food. I was really scared that they were gonna be really strict about food, because it said all over the PDF file that I had read that you could not bring outside food, that they were gonna check if you had outside food, that they didn't want you to bring outside food to your booth, that if you were gonna eat, you were gonna have to eat there at Comic-Con or bring snacks or something. And that was a really big worry for me, because you're basically there the entire day. I don't want to leave the booth for an extended amount of time so that I can go in line to buy like chicken nuggets or something. And I don't want to have to spend money at the convention that I'm trying to make money at. And so I had only brought snacks with me in my backpack. I brought like chips or cereals so that I could eat them throughout the day. And I understand why they don't want you to bring outside food. They don't want you to stink up the place. They don't want your food to touch the merchandise. We're in COVID times. I understand, but they weren't as strict as I thought they would be. So next time I'm definitely bringing heftier food, because I survived those 3 days off of chips and cereal. And when I say cereal, I mean like those little tiny like cereal packs that you can get at like the continental breakfast. I would get those, and it wasn't fun. I would at least have liked to have put like a salad or something in the backpack that I was taking with me, so that I could just eat it like when it got slow, because that's what I would usually do. I would wait until the crowds kind of dispersed, and I would like put my mask down and like shove a chip in my mouth and put it back up. not the healthiest food for 3 days. And that's one of the things that a lot of those videos had originally said. They were like, pack healthy foods. I didn't know how strict they were going to be about what foods I could take. I definitely could have planned that better. I did, however, have water every single day with me, and that was a good idea. Bring a lot of water, and maybe even just bring like a cup of fruit with you or something so that you can just easily chew on it. Because that's another thing. I don't want to have a heavy meal or anything. I just want to have food that I can grab at lunchtime. I sneezed earlier, and now I feel like my nose looks really pink in the camera. And a rule that I just thought of now that I did not put on this list. Everyone's always saying in literally every single video that you should talk to the people around you. I was in a corner booth, so the only people that I had were on this side, and I didn't really get to talk to them until like day 3 because I was always a little late. And when I say a little late, I mean is that we had from, depending on when the day started, so if the day started at 9, you had from 7:30 to 8:30 to get there. I was always getting there like 8:20-ish, which is great for me, you know, you get enough sleep, I guess. But I was never there early enough to talk to people. I was never there early enough to talk to people. And it made me really sad because I would always have to like plan around when I would get to speak to people. And I wish that I had done that. I think it's because it was a combination of me not getting there when it was like free hours to talk, and between me being super nervous about leaving my booth ever, which doesn't make any sense because I had help with me, but I was always like nervous. And so I think next time I should branch out and talk to more people, because on the 3rd day I was able to get there early enough to finally do what I had been thinking about doing. By the time I was schmoozing the people on this side, I couldn't go over there because the doors were open. The second to last rule that I had already written down is that tell people you're a local artist. I think a lot of people really warmed my heart at Comic-Con because they would ask me like if I made all of the art, and they would ask how I felt about the pieces and why I made them. And it's not something that I actually expected would happen. For the most part, a lot of the conversations that I would have were like people would buy something, or they would look at my binder, not buy anything really, and they'd be like, oh, you have really nice art, which, you know, I appreciate the compliment. But there were a few times where a person would be really excited by the art that I had made, and they would make sure to tell me that. There was a woman who bought $46 worth of merch, and I still think about her because she asked me about my art. She was really excited about all my art. She wanted to find me on social media. She asked me about my website. She essentially said that I was like really talented and that she wants to support local artists. And we had a whole conversation because she wanted to know about why I make art the way that I do, or what my inspirations are. And a few other people were similar to her, and they were talking about how they want to support local artists, and that's what they come to Comic-Con for and to festivals for. And so telling people and talking about my art, I think not only helped me make sales, but, you know, it helped me connect to future customers or just people who like my art in general. So that was something that I would suggest you do if you're gonna go to Comic-Con, like to tell people how you made it, if they're interested. Obviously, don't bombard people, but you know, it was really nice. And finally, my last, I guess, rule for myself is I need to figure out transportation. Now, with the display, like I've said throughout the entire video, I had to come up with a lot of things off the top of my head in order to get stuff there on time. I made the cardboard stand thing because I knew I couldn't get grid cubes. The rack I brought from my mom's pharmacy, you know, all that yada yada yada. But in terms of transporting them, that was a whole situation. We had to bring in the rack, the cardboards, the rolling backpack, my 2 boxes, my logo because I left that separate because you can't put it in the box, and my tote bag because we had a bunch of different display stuffs packed throughout. And Oh, and the little baskets, because I had a little mini basket for the pins originally, and then it became like my trash basket. And then I had the tiny basket that I put my zines in, which is originally from my room because I use it to put my sketchbooks in there. I had to dehouse them while I went to Comic-Con. And honestly, it wasn't even that much stuff compared to what other people brought. I was packing minimal, but taking it everywhere and carrying it everywhere was kind of a whole ordeal, especially at the end of the day, because at the end of every day at Comic-Con, you would essentially take your valuables with you. So I would take my prints and you would leave the rest of it. I would leave the display there because there's no way I'm lugging that every day. But I would see people out with these like giant rolling collapsible things where they would just put everything in and they'd leave. They'd walk all the way over to their like car, put it in the back and leave. I had to do a whole assembly line every time I had to depack everything. I saw so many people with like plushies that had those, and I definitely need to figure out where they got it because next time I need it, especially since we also needed to get a fire extinguisher for our booths. It's in the little contract. I don't know if everybody did it, but I got one and I never used it. So carrying it out everywhere was always like this like heavy, well, it wasn't really that heavy, but it was like cumbersome situation. So that's the thing that I'm gonna be doing next time. I have to get a collapsible thingy. I don't know how to end this video and I don't want to drink this anymore. Bye.